one of the risks that you run into when it comes to debating anything online, particularly Facebook, which if you if you're rating the quality of content, Facebook has got to be at the very bottom. And that's probably mostly because there's so many people on Facebook. I mean, sure, I could look it up, Twitter users versus Facebook users. But as far as people that I know, Facebook, your grandma's on Facebook or whatever. So anyway, I saw a family member, that's as specific as I'm going to get, posted something about Eric Trump's getting spit on. Now, forget about the behavior of the person doing it. I mean, somebody spits on someone. It's about as fucking low class of a thing as you can get. I forget who the baseball player was, did that. Spit on an ump, was it? I'm a little fuzzy on that. That was, 20 years ago or whatever. But anyway, there have been other sports figures that have spit on people too. But spitting on someone is just like fucking such a loser move. So anyway, I'm definitely not one that would defend that action. So this person that posted about it, though, put the blame on. I want to read it so that I don't misquote. If you're liberal, you should be ashamed of yourself. How could you be so stupid? Okay, now there's more to it than that. This person talks about the throwing shakes at senators and the Ted Cruz incident and everything. But the larger point that he's making is that all liberals, now it says if you're liberal, all liberals should be ashamed of themselves. The biggest problem I have with that is if someone else's actions can speak for me simply because I belong to a group, or worse yet, a group that somebody else can put me in, right? If I have a position like pro-life, if I say I'm pro-life, there are a lot of people that will put me in the position of, hey, that's a conservative. Or they might say he's a religious fanatic, or they could put me in all kinds of categories. And I don't want to be in categories that someone else puts me in. I will say if I'm part of a group, or if I have call me a libertarian, I don't care, because, I got the mug. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just would normally ignore political posts. And this family member doesn't post a ton of political stuff. Maybe this person used to. But anyway, I also don't like to just go ignore posts, especially, somebody from my family. So I just replied, agreeing at first about the spitting part. I said it's as classless as it gets, because I find it better to, rather than just come out and be hostile right away, to find some common ground. Because, and that's exactly what I did with it. I'll just read exactly what I said. Spitting on someone is as classless as it gets. I hate the term hate crime though. Well, the reason I said that is because in his original post, he said, how is this not a hate crime? He said, these are hate crimes no different than assaulting people because they're black or gay. Well, they're crimes. I just cannot, for the life of me, understand why anyone would use the term hate crime. There doesn't need to be a qualifier. If I shoot somebody and he dies, it doesn't matter why I did it, really. I mean, I guess if he's entering my house. But the point is, if I'm guilty of murder and I kill somebody, it doesn't matter if it's because I didn't like the guy, or if he was a different race than me. If it's a crime, it's a crime, right? So I'm going to make too many digressions during this thing. So anyway, I said it's assault. Who cares about motive? The only people to blame, though, for these crimes are the perpetrators of the crimes. Simply being a liberal is no reason to feel shame because of something some other idiot did. Now, to me, that is like irrefutable. If it was that simple and you wanted to defeat somebody, and this goes on actually, you could get actors to go into situations pretending to be like, I'll give you a concrete example. There's an abortion protest, right? At an abortion clinic. Peaceful protest. Bunch of people out there with signs. Somebody posing as a liberal could go and do some awful crime against these peaceful protesters. But in reality, that person was actually on the side of pro-life. This is just an example. Now you can say all of those liberals should be ashamed of themselves because they, went into this crowd and did some, whatever. I hope I'm making sense there. So that person that did that to those pro-lifers, whatever crime you could come up with, let's say they hit somebody with a bat or whatever. That doesn't speak for people that are, all the people that are, pro-choice or whatever. It doesn't. It doesn't speak for all of them. And you could get a forum discussing this event, and you could have hundreds of people defending the baseball bat swinging person. That still doesn't make it so that all of those pro-choicers need to be ashamed of themselves. It's just not a road that anyone should be willing to go down unless you only care about one thing at a time. In other words, you don't have to be consistent with thought. If you don't care about being a hypocrite, because the next time something comes up and somebody puts you in the group and says, well, how about this? You're white, and that's a white person that's doing that to black people, and you should be ashamed of yourself if you're white. No, you can't do it. You cannot do it. So anyway, when I posted that, somebody that is friends with my family member on Facebook pipes in with his own analysis of my comment, right? He tagged me and said, if you read a lot of news outlets on Facebook, I don't, you'll see many liberals applauding this behavior. I believe there's a GoFundMe page in support of this piece of trash. Okay. First mistake, if you are reading Facebook news outlets, I have a feeling that you are reading things that are preaching to the choir for the most part. Maybe not, could be wrong, but it doesn't matter, because just because many liberals are defending this frickin' person that spit on Trump, Eric Trump, still doesn't mean we can blanket blame all liberals. There's a frickin' difference. There are, 400 million people in the country. Plus it's online, so the world, there's just billions of people online. But let's just talk about the US. People that are chiming in on news stories like this are probably a majority of Americans. Maybe not, I don't know, I'm guessing. So thousands of people chime in and agree even. I'm just putting that out there as a number. It still doesn't mean all liberals should be blamed, because think of somebody like Michael Shermer, or somebody that you could think of that is a liberal that would look at this kind of behavior from somebody and be just as outraged as my family member or there's other people. There's plenty of examples of liberals that you could find. But what really goes on is people make the enemy, and they have this vision in their mind of what the others are. And in this case here, my family member is creating this boogeyman, the liberals. I see it all the time. The liberals, the liberals, the liberals. I don't even think we have the same definition for liberals, but anyway, I'm ranting again. So going back to this guy, he's saying that there's many of them, and the GoFundMe thing. So the first thing I do is go to Google and I put GoFundMe Eric Trump spitting whatever. I Google something and I find out that somebody did start a GoFundMe page, and it took me all of 30 seconds to find this. Somebody that wasn't even the person that did the spitting. For one thing, there is no need for a GoFundMe page because Eric Trump didn't sue, and some people would be disappointed with that, but imagine the shit show that would go on. That person would get a lawyer. There would be all kinds of accusations made. The smart thing Eric did was to not push it. I mean, you might disagree, but you're probably wrong for disagreeing with what he did, because he's smart. He's a smart guy, probably. So anyway, so I wrote back to this person that pointed out that there were news outlets where liberals were applauding this thing. And I said, so how about this? Here's my analogy, right? Because I'm assuming, I don't know this person that made this comment, but I'm assuming that person is a conservative. So I tried to throw an analogy out there. That's a very believable analogy. You'll see in a second. I said, how about this? I'm pro-life, which I am. Suppose someone bombs an abortion clinic, and the bomber tries to rationalize his behavior, citing the atrocities that go on inside, right? Just like this waitress might say, well, he was part of the Trump family, so I should be able to spit on him, right? No doubt, in a nation of hundreds of millions of people, there'd be a lot of people that would applaud his actions. And there would be. There would be some of these real religious fanatics that would justify killing people because of abortion. I'm not one of them. I'm a pro-lifer. But I'm not one that would take lives to, for my cause or whatever. So anyway, I don't want to ramble. I'll read the rest of it without any commentary, I promise. That says nothing about me, though. You can't lump me in with people that want to cause violence for the cause simply because of my pro-life stance. You also can't lump in all liberals because some dumb bitch spit on Eric Trump or that a bunch of knuckleheads are cheering for her. It's easy to find low-hanging fruit and say, see, look what they do. Now, when I posted that, I thought, this is a clear analogy. It shows the contrast of, somebody from the left doing something wrong, how easy it is to see that it's wrong. They're spitting on people. But I took an example from the other side of the broad categories of left versus right. Clearly, if you ask people, is being pro-life a right stance or a left stance? People would say it's a right stance. So I was hoping he would see that, something awful can happen in the future. And there will be some things that right-wing people do. And there will be lots of left-wing people that will stand up and say, look at these people. They should be ashamed of themselves. But it won't be fair. It won't be fair either. So I give this example. And I was hoping that my analogy would allow this person to look at that and say, yeah, that's true. I've seen that happen before. But that's not what happened. This is the risk that you run with trying to debate anonymous people that I don't know, because I don't know, intelligence levels. I don't know the ability to grasp having a debate, what kind of things this person knows. So this is what the person says to me. I'm going to read it verbatim from start to end without commentary because it's not very long. So we go from spitting to bombing? Really? No, it's not all. I'm just saying there is a lot of support for this type of behavior on that side of the aisle. I haven't seen one person in leadership condemn it either. Okay, so at least he says it's not all. But my whole point was it's not all. I never said that there weren't supporters of the spitter. And the fact that, so we go from spitting to bombing, I mean, it's a fucking analogy. It doesn't matter what, sometimes you have to show, by using some exaggerated, that everybody could get on board. Spitting, maybe some people don't think that's such a big deal, but bombing, pretty much everybody, that's probably not a good idea to do. I'm going to commit some real act of violence. Now we can clear the air and say, oh, look, don't get on board. So anyway, I just thought it was funny that this person I hope this person doesn't think that I'm trying to equate spitting with bombing. It's a fucking analogy. Have you never had a reasonable conversation with a person before? So anyway, now, so I said, I'm trying to show that actions of one person is no relationship with others simply because they share one common trait. There might be a lot of support, but my family member, I said the name, was trying to lay shame on all liberals. I don't like it when I see this sort of thing happen in the groups that I associate with. I'm just trying to be consistent, and I am being consistent. I don't support the liberals that would spit on Trump, or if I saw somebody making a case for why it's okay, I would argue with that person saying, look, you got to find something better than spitting on the people. But what those people have done, the spitting woman has made Eric Trump into some demon in the same way that my family member makes liberals into this demon. They're doing the same thing. I don't think my family member would spit on people anymore, because a long time ago maybe, but people straw man the other side all the time. It happens all the time. You create a false impression of the others, and then you defeat the others. It's a lazy way of doing, it's a lazy way of having a debate. The better way is to be honest about the other side's real positions on things. And if you're not really if you're not grounded in reality, or if you're not grounded in truth, then you have to resort to those types of tactics. You can't win a debate if you're not being intellectually honest. If you have to misrepresent the other side just to win any particular argument, you are a weak debater, and you're never going to win. You're just going to be shown to be a phony because you're not honest. Anyway, so the family member comes back to my, talking about the analogy I gave and everything, and says, I disagree. Would you be part of a group that supports pedophiles and defends their actions? This is no different. I don't understand that analogy. So I read that and I thought, is he trying to say that liberals support pedophiles? Well, I don't think that's what he's saying, though. But no, I wouldn't be part of a group of pedophiles. And in the case of a group that supported pedophiles, I would blanket, condemn them all, because that's an easy one. I mean, that's simple. If somebody says, yeah, pedophilia is fine, and there are groups out there now that are trying to do this, but that's easy to blanket that. But that's not what this is. It has nothing to do with it. It's not an analogy that is consistent. It's a lazy way of doing an analogy. But anyway, so he comes on and says, I'm laying guilt on all liberals because it is on all liberals. Your logic is exactly what the left relies on for a free pass. Now, see, I don't think of, let's see. I give my real, true analysis of what I think is going on. And if you have to look at what the other people will do to fuel their argument or whatever, then you're just trying to win. Fuck the facts. Fuck the truth. You're not going to say things if it's going to give fuel to the other side. I don't care about the other side when I'm debating. I'm looking at what this specific thing is. And the only thing I can do is comment on what I believe in, what I believe to be true. I can't worry about, well, are they going to be able to use this against me later on when something else comes up? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give my real thoughts on what the topic at hand happens to be. So he said he could list the assaults that the left has committed and supported, but that wouldn't matter to you, meaning to me. Well, the left would come up and say that Charleston, I think it was Charleston, where the dude drove the car and killed somebody, they would use that as an example of what the right does. And that's a freaking death, right? But that's just some wacko freaking person. If you identify with the right, that's not on you. That death is not on you. That's on that person that did that fucking driving in that car, right? It doesn't match your line of thinking. Here's an analogy for you. If you're in the KKK, you're labeled a racist, like it or not. You like to dabble around the exception instead of the majority, a tactic people use when they joist with me about abortion. The exception is the person that will spit on Eric Trump, not the other way around. It's just the case. If it wasn't the case, Eric Trump would get loogies hocked at him all day long. People are reasonable for the most part. We see cases in the media that amplifies the bad freaking behavior on all different kinds of topics. And to pretend like that's the norm is a dishonest thing. I know many liberals. I listen to many different podcasts where I listen to Joe Rogan, and there's lots of liberals on there. There's also lots of people that get on and liberals complain about because they say Rogan is just interviewing right-wing guys and like, but anyway, I listen to different points of view, and for the most part, if I disagree with you, I still look at these people as being honest about things. The family member here that made this original post doesn't really want to see that people that disagree with him can make sense. And people that disagree with him aren't stupid. There are some people have different data, right? We make decisions based on the things that we know about and the information that we have, where we grow up. I'm reading a book right now by a comedian, Ms. Pat, who used to be a crack dealer, right? And she grew up in Atlanta. And you listen to the frickin' hand that she was dealt growing up with a mom that didn't give a fuck about her, this and that. And it's easy to sit there and, judge, well, she shouldn't have been selling crack when she was like 16, right? But she was in a world that most people can't imagine. And she somehow managed to get herself out of that. She's funny as fuck. You listen to her. But now I'm just rambling. So I just wanted to, I think these things through when I'm running, and I wanted to make this video. I don't know if I'll show my family member this video or not. Probably will, but that person will not probably take it. He'll think I'm like trying to start shit or whatever, but I'm not. It's a lot harder to write things than it is to just get on camera and say them, right? It's easier to see that I'm not being hostile towards you. When I see people that say things that I disagree with, I usually learn something from that. I see lots of people post on Facebook about things that, yeah, you're not really being... I saw somebody post something about Kamala Harris. I don't watch news, so I read these names. I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right because I never hear them, but I think it's Kamala Harris. And there was a picture of her with two like obvious like Indian people, Indian, not feather, not feather. I know that's an old joke, but, and the caption around it was, she claims to be African American, but look at her parents, and they're not her parents, right? A friend of mine posted that. That person is wanting that to be true. That, look at her parents. They're both Indians. She's not black. She's being dishonest. Well, it doesn't take that much to search Kamala Harris' parents and see that, oh, her dad's a black dude. I think he's Jamaican. Anyway. Once again, I'm rambling. So I'm going to end this for now. So if you watched it to the end, good job, family member.